We're on all the platforms mainly.
Hello, everyone. Okay, you guys, we're a little late. And guess what? This is just the way my day's going. Okay, so I'm giving myself grace and permission to just be exactly who I am, the way I am, with whatever I'm working with at the time. So, hello, everyone. It's freaking Winning Wednesday. And it is time for the Laugh and Learn Lunch. And today, my special guest, Miss Gerri Adams, you guys, and she not only is a psychologist and has so many accolades, you guys, but more importantly, and what I'm excited about is that she is the founder, right, of Smart Baby Talk, Baby Smart Talk,
Baby Smart Talk.
Baby Smart Talk. And once I found, because you guys know, I have great grandkids. I have my kids, I have grandkids, and I have great grandkids. And I know that they are amazing. I've learned that we're the smartest we ever are the first day we're born. And every single day after that, you guys we lose a little bit. So I'm so excited to introduce you to the amazing Gerri Adams. Miss Gerri, say hello to this amazing people. And we're going to get ready to get this party started.
Yes. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me on your show. I am so excited to be here. I'm so excited to tell everyone about Baby Smart Talk. It's such a great program that I came across, basically inspired by my baby son who just turned 1 last month. It's been almost 2 weeks. Actually, it's 2 weeks today.
Yay!
2 weeks to the
Congratulations.
date. He turned 1. So it has been a fun-filled, exciting roller coaster of a ride with this new baby after 15 years of having my first child.
Yeah.
Almost 16 years.
Yeah. Starting over. I did it with somebody else's kid, but it's still doing it.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
Okay.
so I am just excited to discuss Baby Smart Talk, what it actually entails, and even give a little background of how it came about, because it did. It really came about out of the blue. And I knew I was on to something. So I wanted to share what, I learned with working with my baby with other new moms, whether you're a new mom for the first time or a new mom for the second time, but it feels like the first time, like myself,
And it
because
does. And when you have even 5-year gaps, you guys,
yeah.
I'm not even kidding, even 5-year gaps, so much has changed in your thinking, in your experience, in everything you know about life. So much has changed in 5 years.
Yes, yes. And I mean, so much has changed as far as resources that's out there, the tools and even the toys and everything that they have for babies now is totally different than when I had my first child 15, no, she's 16 now, 16 years ago. So it
Woo!
was like I had to relearn everything all over again, and
Yes.
just get back used to being in that mommy mode with a little baby. So yeah, it's been exciting, but it's definitely been a journey.
So, okay, so before we get really into the baby smart talk, I have so many questions of before. So you guys, not only did this amazing queen go to school for and got her bachelor's degree in psychology, but you guys, she has a minor in criminology. And I always thought I should have been a CSI person because I'm always being the detective of things. And so I'm seeing like, okay, so I'm just feeling into your experience, and I'm going, oh, I bet you she was over there going, I see what you're doing, right? Because some part of you is recognizing not only from your degree in psychology, but criminology teaches like to identify patterns, right? And extract things. So I'm curious, did you finish all of your schooling before, right? Before you had the second baby? But
Yes, I
after the
finished this.
first, was it
Yes,
after the
I
first?
actually finished that schooling before I even had my first daughter. I
Oh,
finished
nice.
next year will be 20 years. 20
Woo!
years since I graduated with that bachelor's degree in psychology.
Congratulations.
And
You look
thank you.
young, girl. You don't look like you're old enough to have graduated 20 years ago. So I'm
Yes.
so grateful that you are holding that gorgeousness.
Thank you so much. Yeah, so I was only 2 classes away from making that criminology degree a dual bachelor's degree. Um,
Wow.
but I was out of state. I was going to the Ohio State University, and I'm from Illinois originally, and it was out of state tuition. And so for 2 classes, they were charging me a lot of money. So I just told my advisor, look, we're just going to make that my minor. I have my major, and we'll just do that as the minor. And I'm going to get on up out of here in my 4 years and graduate in the
Yeah.
spring. So that's what I did. So yeah. But
Congratulations.
thank you so much. They do go hand in hand. Psychology, you want to know, why do people
Yes.
think and behave the way that they do? And it's the same thing with criminals and in criminology or sociology, because you're studying society,
Yes,
so it all goes hand in hand. And it was
it
all interesting
does.
and, very interesting to me.
It's
So
cause and effect. Because
yes,
each one's affecting the other.
yes.
I love it. I was so intrigued when I saw that. So with all of this background, how did that transfer into what you're doing now? Because I think everything always is a foundation that leads to the next thing, right?
Yeah. So back when I went to the Ohio State University, I took so many classes in psychology. And one of the classes that stood out was child psychology. So it taught us different techniques, different things that children would do, as far as why they would behave the way that they behave, or the trauma, different patterns to watch out for and identify in children. And it started from like the infancy stage, from basically newborn stage up to teenage stage. So I learned a lot in that class. It was very interesting to me. And then I believe it was my senior year, I did a practicum at a daycare facility we had on campus. So I was interacting and working with the babies and being able to identify the psychology of babies. So I didn't think about that literally till right now, how that really ties in. It's almost like a full circle thing with me having my second child. And then I'm looking at the psychology of him and how he's interacting with things, and being able to teach him and advanced learning techniques. So it all ties in, and life is a big old circle.
It is, and it's funny how everything connects, and I didn't realize how things connected for me either until way later. And now in the reflective mode, I could see so clearly. I was like, oh well, no wonder I was doing that, because it just makes so much sense. Why? Because I was learning this, that, and the other. And this is the beauty, is I of course identify patterns, and I notice all these things, and I'm like, I always knew I was a detective. I loved mysteries. I'm like the puzzle making person. I'm real
Mhm.
strategic. So I realize that those of us who are pattern seers and stuff, we're always strategizing, it seems like, or seeing how other people are
Yeah,
strategizing
analyzing,
to
always
get to what they
analyzing
want.
others.
And
Like,
when
why
my
are they doing that?
Yes. And so me and my oldest sister were always baffled by the middle sister, right? Because
Mhm.
she was so different from us. And even when we got older, she said, when we were asking her questions, she was like, I always knew I how to get what I wanted. And we're like, since you were little? And she was like, always. Like,
Oh,
and so
wow.
we're like, and that makes sense, how she always showed up the way she did since childhood, right? Since these little
Mhm.
things. And this is where I started to tell people, especially with my kids. So you guys had 3 kids by the time I was 19. And I was like, they're just little people. They are like so smart, and they know what's going on. And some part of me, even though they didn't talk, I was like, they know some, and now
Mhm.
I understand intuitively. I knew that they knew that I'm picking up their vibe or their energy of that, of discomfort, or whatever it was that was reflecting the environment. Right. So
Yeah.
I just kept learning more and more. And my sister, the one I was speaking of, she went to college for 10 years for
Oh,
psychology.
wow.
She never wanted to leave. I was like, sis, you could leave sometime. Leave school. Come and join the world. But really, she mastered this art of psychology, and we would always talk about it. And so when I was in my self discovering journey, of course I went to a psychologist. and
Mhm.
and I really love how other people can put the pieces together. This is what I think that I've discovered, is people like you make people's puzzles. So you hear from my communication my pieces, and then you're like, oh, I see the puzzle so clearly. Right. and
Yeah.
then and then then you give the feedback or the communication. So how did that transfer into the babies?
So I have worked in social services for basically 20 years or so, working as a counselor, I was a substance abuse counselor for a time. In my 20s, right after graduating from college, I worked as a caseworker with children who were sexually abused. Um, so I've worked in the arena of social services or dealing with individuals who have different, things going on, some mentally, some emotionally. And so it taught me a lot. It taught me to be able to identify things, turn into a listener, and to be able to build rapport easily with people. And so those things actually allowed me to work in my favor when it came to even, discovering Baby Smart Talk with my baby, because I was able to just be there in the moment and to pay attention. And it was like a light bulb click, like, okay, he gets this. He actually is understanding it. And if you look at babies, sometimes I think we disregard how babies are so intelligent and can
So,
be really intelligent, because we think they're babies. So what can they
oh,
really contribute?
so
But
smart.
yes, and this generation of babies now, I
Genius.
mean, babies probably always were smart, but this generation is on a different level.
It is my great grandson, and he lived with me for a time. They just moved out, and because he's the oldest, I have custody of a shared custody with my husband of the three grandkids, and they're 19, 15, and 11. And
Mhm.
so the oldest has a 2-year old, and he was testing out at a 5-year old communication level when he was 2. He
Wow.
had been talking in full sentences since he was 18 months. And then because
Mhm.
we spoke Spanish and English, and then I saw he was so smart, never stopped feeding him. Like, and
Yeah.
because they just are sponges and they're absorbing everything. So
Yes.
smart.
Yes,
They
they
are.
are. They are literally, they are sponges. And I can relate to that because even with my daughter, at 2 years old, she was like literally reading to me. And
Yes,
so
they're amazing.
yes, when I put her in preschool, the preschool teacher was like,
They're like,
she's way above her literacy level. She's like way above it. She was talking in sentences. Even my baby now, he just turned 1 2 weeks ago. This baby can talk. He's been talking since he was about 9 10 months old. Well,
yeah,
actually, no, actually, people do not believe me, but I wish I would have recorded this
I know,
because
girl. I believe you. I
if I had recorded this, right, we would be viral,
you
like
would have. I
just
know,
viral superstars right now, my daughter and
and
I.
because it was your daily thing, you didn't even like. You didn't
Yeah,
realize
listen,
the freaking amazingness of it. And
in the
that's like you see now I'm
hospital.
thinking I should have been doing the same. I could have had content for days.
Yes, in the hospital when I had my baby, I am not lying to you. I will promise on anything. I am not lying. When I had my son, they keep you in the hospital for 2 days.
Yeah. If
And
you're
then unless
lucky.
you had a C-section, then it may be a little longer.
Yeah.
But in those 2 days while we were in the hospital, I think on that second day when we were getting discharged, he was still in the little crib that they have at the hospital. And my daughter went over to him and she said, "Hey, man." And that baby said loud and clear as day, he said, "Hey." And we looked at each other like, what in the world? People would not believe this. And so I used to tell my friends, I'll be talking to them when I was on maternity leave. And I would be telling them, like, listen, he talks, he says, hey. And one day I was on the phone with my girlfriend and we were talking. He was probably like a month old, maybe no older than 2 months. And as I was saying that, he started talking and she heard him. He was like, hey, hey. And I recorded him plenty of times. Like, if you check out my social media, you will see him for Baby Smart Talk. You will see him on there speaking. And actually, one of the videos of the very first time of how it came about and when the spark came that, okay, this is something. It was that initial video that is on my YouTube for Baby Smart Talk that actually sparked everything.
Yep.
So, and it was
I'm
proof that this baby was speaking
amen.
and actually, understanding and
Yes.
knowing things.
And somebody else validated it outside of you and the recording. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. I love it
Yeah, I
because
tried to get her on to come on, but she's working right now. She said she'll have to catch me when she, can leave the office. But yeah, she definitely heard him. She was like, I believe you now.
and
So
so when you understand they are already from the moment that the ears are developed, they're hearing everything. But until then, they're picking up the vibration of your words, of the music, of everything that's going on around them. That's why people
Yes.
don't really, seriously, you can have already a baby that's trained in so much by the time it's born, depending on how much attention you give it while it's in your stomach, because most people walk around like there
Hmm.
ain't nothing in their belly, like there
Yes.
ain't nothing, listening and paying attention to every freaking thing that's going on with you and
Yeah. And
around you all the time.
that
And
is
so get this,
100%
this is
true.
crazy. So this Michael Lozier, my dear friend, the law
Hmm.
of attraction guy who wrote the book, four-time Oprah guest. So he and I do all these rooms about releasing negative emotions, because
Hmm.
we believe that, of course, emotions get trapped, and
Yes.
anything that you're unable to process, then it's a trapped emotion. So if you have a biting baby, they're biting because they're unable to communicate what they want, and it's a stress. It's like, you guys got me so stressed. Now I'm gonna bite myself. So what
Yeah.
happens is we can actually, through muscle testing, go back to the exact time and date when the moment occurred, of the moment of impact, of whether it was the stress or the without. And some, it's in vitro that we
Mhm.
found some that were at 4 months old, they felt like their needs weren't getting met, and some kind of trauma came, or different things that. And I
Mhm.
truly believe that there's markers. I've always believed the emotional body is logging all five senses with every moment of impact. That's why
Yeah.
we get the emotional triggers. That's why, with all the talk therapy I did, the emotional triggers never went away, because it only addressed my mental body, but it did not take away the physical and the emotional triggers that were there.
Mhm.
So I just study and study more and more and more of everything, because I can never stop. But so, and this is my perception, you guys. This is only my perception of what I've experienced up until now. So I am like, this is so real that people, and I know for me, through my own psychologist, telling me through my own, talk therapy, that she felt like my issues really started in vitro, because my mom never wanted me. And
Wow.
she was like, oh, and she was so upset the whole time. And how did I get pregnant again? And why does this keep happening? And no, 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 no. So my whole experience in the womb was trauma
Wow.
the
And you
whole
know what?
time, of
You
feeling
know,
unloved and
I
unwanted.
truly I believe that as well. And my friends and I, who also have degrees in psychology, we've talked about that before, about how if you wish certain things or want certain things while your child is in the womb, how it can affect them. And like, I mean, even if you go through a trauma, like I did with my first daughter, I went through an absolute trauma. Her dad ended up, passing away while I was pregnant with my daughter. And that was
Heart,
devastating.
yes,
Devastating. I went through all the stages of grief, which I knew because went to
because
school for
you're
psychology. So I knew what stages I was in when I was in it. And, but what I did is that I kept those emotions in. Once I had her though, when I gave birth, I let everything out. I literally
yeah, you probably
exploded
just
out
lost,
in
yeah,
just grief because I knew I used to tell myself I didn't want my child to be feeling that because the babies can feel it. And
they
the same
can.
with my son when he came out, my grandmother was like, he's such a happy baby. So regardless of what I was going through in that pregnancy, I always tried to stay upbeat. I always tried to, with both of my children, I tried to stay upbeat. I tried to stay, just positive regardless because I felt like I didn't want them to feel that. And the one thing that I would say too, just listening to you, love conquers all.
It
Love
does.
conquers everything. Because when I had my baby, it wasn't even. I just posted a video on our Baby Smart Talk YouTube just the other day about the experience I had with him when he first came out. 3 days later, we had to go back to the hospital in the NICU. And that was an experience for me, as Trey, as you know, when you have a
Yeah,
baby,
because you've
the
already had a
things that the
loss.
women, our bodies are going through, our bodies are already going through some crazy stuff, you know, let
Yes,
alone to be going through that and trying to take care of a baby in the NICU. And I
mine
think
too. My
about that
youngest son.
sometimes.
My youngest
I
son,
said,
he was
man, that
born.
could have affected him. You know what I'm saying? It could have traumatized my baby because he was getting blood work done every 2 minutes. It felt like, I mean, they were poking this little bitty baby, getting all this blood, putting
All
in
love.
the what is it called? Basically the medicine putting in the IV into his arm and his
So
foot. It
tiny.
was just
So tiny.
so traumatizing for me
I
as
know.
the
My
parent.
youngest, same one.
Yeah.
I think I had barely turned 18 or 19. And I knew something was wrong because I had the other two. And I kept
Hmm.
going, something's wrong with him. And I took him back, and it took him a week to figure out what was wrong. And they had his little body pinned to the little bed, like in the little things, like a papoose, like kind of
Yeah.
the little bed, because he was so tiny. And I would scream at the doctors, why aren't you guys doing anything?
Yeah. You got to be your child's biggest advocate, though. I will tell anybody, and I talk about
And I
that on our
did.
Baby
So
Smart
many
Talk
doctors didn't
podcast.
believe me. I had
Yeah,
to
you
go to
have to be the
children's
biggest
hospital
advocate.
finally.
Because nobody will take care of your children like you will. When you're a good parent, nobody will look out for them. Let me tell you, even while we were in the hospital, granted, it was some great nurses and doctors and everything. Our doctor is phenomenal, period. That's my daughter's pediatrician and my son's, and he is phenomenal. But some of those nurses, I had to get them together. I had to discuss that and
Woo.
talk about it. Like,
Mhm.
look, I have to look out for the best interest of this baby, and I want to make sure he's provided the best service possible. It's already a
Yeah.
headache being in the hospital with a newborn as
And I
you're going
remember
through the physical postpartum. So,
I spent my
that's really
birthday.
important.
I spent my birthday in the hospital because he was still in the hospital. And I go, no, I'm not leaving. And then they tried to make me go out and go and eat dinner just to get out of the hospital. And then I just cried the whole time. So then they just took me back because
Oh,
I was like, no. And that feeling when they don't know what's wrong.
yeah.
And it's terrifying, and you feel so helpless, and you're like,
Hmm.
what I can do is be there
Hmm.
and
Exactly. And
and
that's
let him know
exactly,
that I am there, and I'm holding him, and he's feeling me, and
yes.
he's touching me,
It,
and I'm like,
and
okay, now I'm gonna cry just thinking about it because I'm
yeah,
like,
that's exactly what I did. I
mhm.
left that hospital 1 hour out of the day to go home and shower, and then I would come right back. And sometimes I would only spend like 30 minutes. I'll hurry up, take a quick shower and
Yep,
get back. I'd be like, I got to get back to my baby,
because you
because
don't
I
know
just
what's
felt
gonna
like,
happen. You
yeah,
don't
I
know if
felt
it's
like
gonna
I
get
needed to
better or
be
not.
there. Yeah. And so I thank God I was able to come home on Mother's Day last year. And because I would have really been traumatized if I'd have
That
been in
was your
there.
gift. That was your Mother's Day
Yes, that
gift.
was a blessing. I was praying. I was like, I had to get out of here. I was like, I had to bring my baby home. But I think about that sometimes, how, even in the hospital when they're that young, how that could be traumatizing to them. And I'd be wondering, do he remember?
I
Are
think
there
they do.
certain things,
I think,
that may trigger it for him? But I believe that because I poured so much love into him,
oh
that
my,
even if those things do come up, he knows that he is so
yeah,
loved,
yeah. And
and
that
that's
was so
probably why
important.
he's so attached to me.
And for me, knowing, and this was before my mom actually verbally validated that she never wanted kids or any of this. This is just me
Mm.
feeling this my whole life, and just having this feeling underlying. So I knew when I got pregnant with my kids, and my first one, my mom actually told me that if I didn't get an abortion, that she wasn't going to help me. And I was like, F you, you're not helping me anyway. Like, you know what I mean? You weren't doing anything. She wasn't doing anything for me then anyway. I had already left home. And so
Yeah.
uh I just remember as you were talking, I'm sitting here thinking of that. I loved my daughter so much, and I had this vision that because I had felt so in love my whole life, that finally I was going to have something that was going to love me, that was going to
Oh,
love me unconditionally, and that wouldn't never leave me. And
yeah.
it's so crazy because her whole life she's like been so attached to me, and she's like, no mom, I'm never leaving. No mom, I'm never
Mhm.
leaving. And she's always been like, no, I just want to add on, just build me something out back. Like, she's like,
Aw.
but I really feel like now it's because would sit there and cry and hold my stomach and be like, I love you.
Yeah,
I
that
love you.
love you
You're the
poured into
first
her.
thing that I'm gonna
Mhm.
love, and that nobody could take away, and like
Yep.
all of these things that a little 16-year-old mind is comprehending. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And it is just so crazy. And thinking of trauma too, now I'm remembering I when because I was young and I always rode motorcycles, and that's what I had for a while. And I actually had her on a little backpack, and I was
Oh,
riding on a motorcycle, and I slipped on the dirt and we fell over, and she was in like a little thing. And I was thinking now, because she to this day hates motorcycles and she won't ever get on with me or never ride. And you know, I was just registering. I can guarantee you that if I have Michael go do his muscle test and go, is there trauma around motorcycles that he's going to find? I'll bet you he'll trace it back to, cause he could do the exact day and time and how old they were, whatever, what year it was of when the moment happened. Cause it's logged in your subconscious mind. And then I bet you. So I'm going to have him do that because poor thing, I feel bad. But now I realize it's probably because she remembers there was that traumatic moment when we crashed on the motorcycle. And even though she didn't actually fall out of the papoose, fortunately, and it was strapped on my back, we went over. You know, we still went down. Yeah. And I'm sure I felt, because I know I was traumatized. I immediately took her off and make sure she was all right. And she, you know, of course. And then they made those big wire things because they weren't, you guys, like 40 years ago weren't like stuff now. It wasn't like a little thing. They had this big old framing and stuff that probably protected her, but still. So, okay, I'm off on a tangent. So let's get
no
back
problem.
To you.
I understand.
So how
things
so
like that happen.
It transformed from the baby being in the NICU? Do you think?
Okay, what did you say, Trey? I just missed that part.
Is this how Baby Smart Talk really began or transformed into what it is from the NICU? Because I'm almost thinking that would have been so like, you're like, that's the most connected I think you are.
Yeah, I was really connected with him. And then once I brought him home, it was like, I didn't want to even hear him cry. Like, so I held him a lot.
Yes, it messes with you.
Yeah, I held him a lot, and he's still like that to this day to an extent. He's like a little baby kangaroo in the pouch. He's want to stay with me 24/7, clinging on to me. And so I did. I spent a lot of time
with him. Because it won't last, trust me.
Yeah, so I'm enjoying every moment, right? Because my 16-year-old be like, get away.
I know. It all ends, you guys, so enjoy it while it lasts. You get it for this long.
Yeah, and I used to tell her all the time, I miss you being a baby. I miss you being a baby. Now I got a whole nother baby all over again. So I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. And so I believe that did play a part because, like I said, I just wanted to make sure he was okay. I didn't, and I was just so like in tune with him. I paid attention to everything. And then being a second time mom, the first time feeling like a first time mom again for the second time, with SIDS and all these things that's out here. I was terrified to even sleep, basically. Yeah. So I would be up watching them in the bassinet and barely getting any sleep.
Me too. My daughter. And she has a thing now. So if you stare at her when she's sleeping, she'll wake up. Because I would stare and I would poke her. I was like, I don't think she's breathing. Oh my God. And I would, okay, she's okay. I was horrible.
I did those things because I was just, it's like a new parent. I'm a new parent all over again. So I'm trying to make sure he's still breathing and all this stuff. And so what happened is, was that we would be up. The baby, with babies, they are up at all different times of night and day. It doesn't matter. They just up on their own schedules, Now I did end up getting to a point where he started being on a schedule at night and sleeping overnight. And that's something that I do cover with the Baby Smart Talk. But at this point, yes. And that was a blessing early on. So it's definitely possible. But it was just one night. We happened to be up at like 3 a.m. And I'm big on education. So as you mentioned, I have the bachelor's in psychology, minor in criminology. I have also a master's in business and a graduate certificate in marketing.
Girl.
So I am big on education. And so I was up with him one night. We were on the couch and I said, you know what? I said, I wonder, if we're going to be up, then I'm going to teach you some things. So I'm going to start working with you. And so I started just going over the body parts. Yes. Yeah. If I gotta suffer with being up and lacking the sleep. Yeah. Yes. So I said, let me teach you some things. So I started going over the body parts, just the body parts, the eyes, the whole face, and teaching them the hands and feet. And then at one moment I said, give me your hand. Something just told me to ask him for his hand. So I said, give me your hand. Now he was about 2 months old then. And it took a while because, with babies, their muscle memory isn't all the way up to par and their muscles kind of go all over and spasm and stuff. And so it took them a moment and I was patient. That's the one thing you have to be with babies is patient.
Because they're trying to connect this to this.
Exactly. So it took him a little moment, but the next thing I know, he like put his hand in my hand. And then I said, well, give me your other hand. And it took him a little while. It took about 5 minutes or so just to get it together because this is the first time ever. And people say babies don't know what you're saying. Oh, he
They
knew what
don't.
I was saying at
They
2 months. He took that little hand and put it in my hand. And I knew then, I was like, okay, maybe this is just something that
I
happened. Or
know.
maybe I'm sleepy. It's 3 in the morning. So the next day when I got up for work, I said, let me try it again. And so I tried it again. And when I did it and asked him the question, he took that little hand, shaking it and put it in my place
And
in my
he
hand.
got better the next time, huh?
Yes, he did. And by the time my mother came over, I showed my
You're
parents. We
like,
went to
look,
their house.
mom.
I showed them. Yes. And my mom is not big on social media, or my dad. They're not. They're not big on social media. You know, they're from a different generation. So she's like, I don't know. But she told me this. She said, when she came to the door, I said, ask him for his hand. And the thing is this, you couldn't ask in any kind of tone. Because my daughter tried it. She give me your hand.
Yeah, no.
And he
He already
ignored
he
her
feels
like,
the energy.
no.
He's like, no.
Yes, I told her it's about the tone. Exactly. I said, it's the tone of your voice. I said, you have to say it soft and gentle,
And
with
engaging.
love. And
Yes.
so when she did it that way, he did it. And so when my mom came to the door one day, about a week later, by that time, he was really quick with it. So she asked him and he did it. And she said, you know what? You may be on to something. You might need to record this or put it on social media or something. And I was shocked. I said, not the person who doesn't do social media and, you don't like anything on the internet. So I knew then that I had something. And my dad also confirmed it. He said, yeah, I think we might have a little genius on our hands. So,
Business.
it
And
just kicked
thankfully
off from
you have
there.
that business that's gone.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yes. So it kicked off from there, but still some months went by. I really didn't do much with it. I was just still working with him and seeing different things that he was able to do. And actually, I started a journal from the day one of conception all the way up to 1 year
Nice.
of age. I started a journal. So I literally have his whole entire life from the moment I
Nice.
found out that I was pregnant with him up to now written down. So I'm like, okay, maybe that's a book in the works. So who knows, because it's a total.
Definitely.
And I didn't even realize till I went back and was looking back in the journal. I was like, wait a minute, I started this on the day that I conceived him. Like,
Yep.
so
It's like how
that's
to
just
make a
amazing.
genius baby.
Yes.
If you
And
want to
so
know how,
that's
let me
basically,
teach you how.
yeah, exactly. And that's basically how it started. And it just kind of, it took me some months to maybe about, let's see, maybe about 3 months from that, I just started working with them. And then I started feeling like, okay, I have something here. When I started looking up names, I was like trying to come up with names, but a lot of them were taken or trademarked or, things like that. So
Yeah.
then I'm like, okay, God, like I need a name for this baby. And so, I mean, for this business, and it is I call it my baby business because it's my baby. It's a
Yes.
business, but it is my baby. And so I thought about it, and then I said, you know what? I said he's a baby and he's smart and he talks. So I said, baby smart talk. And so my child was the one that confirmed it, because when I said it to him, you
You
would have
get all
thought I said
excited,
his
huh?
name.
Yeah.
He started cracking up laughing. He and I would be like, come here, baby, smart talk. And he would just crack up.
Laugh.
And I said,
Yep.
that's it. That's it. And I looked it up. Nobody had it. I said, okay, this is it. So baby smart talk, that's how it went. It came about in September. And I worked on the logo and did everything with that. And
And how'd you
basically
look
it
it
was
up?
born.
There's just like a website you could look up stuff.
Well, you can always look up trademarks. You can go to the trademark website and type in a
Oh,
name
I
and
didn't know. I was like, oh,
look
so
it
see?
up. Yeah, and then even with like Instagram and those social media platforms, if a name is already taken, they won't give it to you. So
Yeah.
because I had put other names in Instagram trying to make a page up, and I was like, man, this one is taken, thinking I came up with some very creative, neat names, and they were taken. My sister was like, those are some really great names for it, but it was taken up. So when I put in Baby Smart Talk for my IG page, it was available. So I knew then I had
That's it.
something.
Validation.
I was like, that's it. And
And how
YouTube
can
as
you
well.
beat your son giving you the validation? Really, your
Yes,
son let
that
you
was,
know. The rest
yeah.
just moved you into flow, but your son let
Mhm.
you know.
Yes, he did. He did. He would just crack up. Even to this day, he will. You mentioned baby smart talk, and he
He
just
knows
feel
his
like
name.
it's just him. He's just cracking up, and
You're
it was
like,
just
who, me? Yeah.
yeah, it was an internal thing with the energy and the vibe from it. I knew that was it. You know how you just know something is it. So
Yes. I
yeah,
know. And I know. And then it's almost like you get chills and all the things. And it's like, yes, because your body's always validating the truth. It always is. It's always doing its best to show you. I love this. And this is how I knew you guys, I always know the people I want to talk to because I already energetically know that I'm in alignment with them. And and then I wait for them to open up their mic and say things because of course I met this queen on Clubhouse and heard her
yes,
speak. And I was like, okay, yeah, back channeled her. I would like to please consider coming on my show. I would love to have you talk about it because I
no,
don't think people understand how amazing their babies are from the freaking moment of inception. I
yes,
am such a believer. And if people knew more, had more awareness about the impact that their thoughts and emotions are having on their little fetus
yes,
and then to understand that they can contribute to the mental and emotional development as their bodies creating the physical. It
yes.
is like
That's
and
true.
this is how babies born so content, so happy, like her little son who's so happy
Yeah.
because he
And
knew he
another
was loved
thing,
and embraced.
yes, another tip that I would share with parents that I did even with my daughter is that I would play music. Music was a big
Definitely.
part of it. I would play classical music. I played
I
the
was going to
violin
say,
for
not
nine
that
years.
crazy stuff, you people. I mean, there's a time and a place. Don't get me wrong,
hmm Yeah,
but
I played the violin for 9 years, so I understand classical music, and I could read music from that for those 9 years of my life that I did it as a kid up to my 18 years of age. So I felt like that was something that was good for. I had bought this little headset that they had back then for babies, and
yeah,
I was all into the baby technique, the
yeah, they
different
even
baby.
make stuff for your tummy. They
Yeah,
make
and that's what it
like
was. It was like the technology for it.
yeah,
You put a little band around and then it was like a headset. And
yeah,
so I played that for her. But then
speakers
another
in.
thing that I'll share, another tool I will share with parents, just give them a little nugget, is that when you see that your child is mimicking your facial expressions, that is a sign of you as a parent. And that's why it's important for us to love our babies and pay attention to our children. Because when you see that they're able to mimic, let me tell you, that's a sign as a parent to definitely take some time out. And you could actually start teaching them sign language right then and there. Because
They're
with my daughter,
watching.
yes, with my daughter, it was about 4 months of age. I saw her mimicking my facial expressions and everything, and I was always, like I said, big in education. I had bought her a sign language, kit, so that where you could teach babies. And I don't know where that DVD is now, but I had bought it, and when I saw that she could actually mimic my facial expressions, I told my father, I said, "You know what? She's mimicking me, so if she can mimic me, I'm gonna start teaching her the sign language." So I was able to teach her milk and mommy and daddy, like little signals, because when they're babies, they may not be able to talk, especially when they're 2 months old, three
They
months old,
still
four
are
months
feeling
old.
things strongly.
But they can understand that you could teach them sign language, and that's a way for you to communicate with your baby, and be able to identify things. And then, plus when, they go into daycare and different things like that, you could talk to your child. So that was one thing I did. And with my son, he actually started it even earlier at 3 months of age. He was able to pick up, the sign language and things like that. So that's one thing that I would definitely recommend to parents is when you're paying attention and you're seeing these babies, because we underestimate them because they're these little bitty beings.
Because you
Know
think,
that,
yeah,
your child can be the next great
freaking Jesus.
whoever, so you got to just
Musician,
pour into
athlete.
them,
Hmm.
pour that attention, that love, and that care into your baby, or as I call it, PLT, and not pretty little thing,
Like some of us
but
remember Michael said,
patience, love, and care. That's what we need to, put into, and time, patience, love, and
that's
time
what
it
we
is, and
all
care
need
as well. PLT, patience, love, and time.
as a community, as a collective. We all need to have
Yeah,
that.
and community. We definitely need to have a community and a support system.
Yeah,
because it can
that's
be trying
patient,
as a new
loving, and
parent.
kind.
Yes, yes, patient love and time.
Because
That is what
everybody's
it is.
unique, and this is where I think as a parent it gets frustrating, because a lot of this information is given as an umbrella, and you're
Hmm.
like, but my baby, oh yes, we know they're all unique and special,
Yes,
and it's navigating that uniqueness, but use the umbrella until
yes.
you can start
Hmm.
navigating down to the uniqueness. And
Yes.
that was one of the things I was so grateful for, just my own self-awareness, because it was none of it was self-taught. I mean, all of it was self-taught. None of it was through my parents'
Hmm.
version of parenting. I did not learn how to identify the uniqueness of my children based on my parents, because my parents dressed all three of us like twins, like
Oh,
the whole
wow.
family, right? So all of us were made to look alike, be uniform. So there was no uniqueness. We weren't allowed to
Hmm. No
have
individuality.
individuality. No.
Hmm.
And so I
Yeah.
think that was just one of my things. And then as I had my daughter, I was like, oh, look, she likes to dance. And I saw how like music, she would do the baby dance thing already. And like for my son, I was like, oh, look, he's so different. And he was already taking apart little things and trinkety things, and did so I was
Hmm.
like, oh, he's so intricate with stuff, and I was able to nurture their individuality,
Yeah.
unlike, and I also understood that in order to um correct them and all of the parenting things, it had to be unique,
Yes.
because
And
it didn't work. And that's another thing people don't understand. No,
yeah,
there's
that's
no
true.
blanket.
That is true, because the one thing is this, with being a parent, nobody, you could read a million parenting books, but every single child is different. Every single experience is different. No parent is perfect. First of all, you
We
basically
got our
learn how
own
to be a
unique
parent
stuff
by
going
just,
on.
yeah, going through those experiences. And with females are different than males, it's different things. Like, I had to identify that within myself, even as a parent, being a parent for the second time. With my daughter, she was one way. She was just sweet. She was just go with the flow. My son, he do not, he's like, look, he's very attentive. She was attentive too, but he's on a different level of
Differently, yeah.
attentiveness. So it's differences between them. He's more at like a little boy. He picks up things and throw them and jumps off of stuff. I'd be like, oh my God. Where she was just mellow. She would just sit in a chair and, do her little things. But yeah,
And,
it's
and
definitely a difference.
my son was so emotional. He was way more emotional than my daughter.
Oh,
My daughter would
wow.
be like, oh, she would have more like the masculine responses, and he'd be like, and he would cry, and I'd be like, this is so unique and different. And he
Yeah.
still is to this day super sensitive.
Yeah, so that's just part of, the baby smart talk as well, just covering different topics. And it actually, when I first started Baby Smart Talk, at first I was just thinking of an advanced learning technique program, teaching new parents, teaching parents like myself who's had a child after 5, 10, 15, some people even 20 years, just teaching
Hmm.
them different techniques, as far as working with their babies. We go over 4 different modules in the actual course, the 4-week course. But then something came about, me having this master's in business. I've always been very business minded, even as a little girl. My dad always had, his own businesses and things. So I always worked with that. And I said, wait a minute, I'm leaving out somebody. We're focused so much on the baby, but the parents need to be focused on as well. And so that's how the second part of the program came about with Baby Smart Talk, with providing parents different business strategies, different branding strategies. If they want to start a business, if they already have their own business, how to actually scale that business, and just working with them with the
Nice.
branding aspect of it. So it's 4 weeks where we work with the parents as well. And you don't have to be a new parent. You could just be a parent in general. It's a 4-week course that we just go over different aspects of business. Um, and definitely cover the marketing and branding aspect, because that is the expertise that I have with having that mass MBA degree and then also a graduate certificate in marketing. That's what I love. I have a passion for, along with the community, community service, and
Yes.
just working in the community. But it's so important that just to provide those parents that outlet and having that parenting community. That's what Baby Smart Talk is about. It's providing information, resources to the parenting community. No question is
Connection.
yeah,
Because you
is
know
yes, there's no
how distant
mhm,
you begin to feel, how detached, especially if you're the stay-at-home mom. Because some
yes.
people go back to work, but like for me, I was a stay-at-home mom for the first two for a while, and I felt so disconnected. And I was actually sharing with my business bestie Shantae, because she hasn't had kids yet and wants kids, and all this stuff. And I told her, girl, I was the youngest of my generation. I said, so I didn't get raised with cousins or babies or nothing. I
Oh,
had
wow.
zero clue, and I was
Wow.
so grateful. I told her I was so scared for my baby, and that
Hmm.
I took parenting classes. I said
Yeah.
literally that taught me how to change the diaper,
Hmm.
how to bathe the baby, how to do things that people think that you should just know. No, you don't just freaking know,
Exactly.
especially if you don't know. And
Yes.
so here I was. And so I'm like thinking there should have more things. And thankfully, see, I attract the
Yes.
person who creates the course for the parents who would
Yes.
love to have confidence and
Yes.
connection.
And
Because
that's literally one of our modules in the Baby Smart Talk program for the advanced learning. And I'll probably put it also in the parenting for the business and branding aspect. One of the modules is directly about that question and answer. Any questions that you have, any concerns that you have, it's just an open forum. You can ask any questions. There's so many parents that will be a part of the program that any of us probably could answer those questions or provide insight. And then as well, I have the parenting group on Facebook, which I want to build up more of, so we can provide resources and just information that parents have, because it's no question that is big or small. When you're parenting, you're just trying to, get this thing right. So that's what I'm
yes,
here for, to help answer those questions. That was a really good idea and good tip there, Trey. You go through so many things, because I took a parenting class as well with my daughter. I want to know what's going on,
yeah,
especially when I was pregnant. Like, I want to know, how is this thing gonna work when I have this baby? What really is gonna occur?
yeah, because people scare
Because you
you
watch
and they're
things
like,
on
oh
TV,
my
you don't
God, and
know.
all this stuff. They had me all freaked out.
Yeah, I was terrified. I was
I know.
horrified having my daughter. I was like,
I was
they
like,
asked me
what?
if I wanted to do the living will. I say yes. Where's the paperwork here? And let me sign it. I was traumatized
I
and
know.
terrified having that baby. So yeah, because you
Yes.
just don't know, until you go through it. But, we help to alleviate those questions that you may have regarding it being a first time parent, because we all have those questions, and you go through things. It's everything from breastfeeding to, um, giving them medicine, because sometimes babies do not want to take their medicine.
Oh
So
my
different
gosh.
techniques regarding that. So it's just a vast amount of topics. As I say in our podcast,
Mhm.
we discuss everything from babies to business and everything in between, because it's life. Life happens in between all of that.
And I
So,
told her, I wish there would have been a podcast or anything for me to listen to when I had my kids. Because you guys, it was 40 years ago. 40,
mhm.
40
Look,
years
that's
ago.
my age.
There was
I'll
not
be
crap.
41.
And there wasn't, they didn't even know even really about the benefits of nursing yet, or
Oh, wow.
all this stuff. And so let me tell you, they didn't have a lot about breast techniques, like nursing techniques, or what to do when
Hmm.
you're all chapped and dying, and or
Yeah.
just the alternatives, that there are alternatives, or
Yes.
so much information.
Yeah,
And
I've
rashes, and
actually,
why do baby get them? And I remember people freaking out, oh, they haven't gone poop. There hasn't gone poop. Sometimes your baby won't poop for a whole day or so.
exactly.
I
And
was like, my
I'm
baby
glad you
hasn't pooped.
mentioned that,
Like,
Trey,
oh, there's
because
so much.
I was just
So
thinking about
much.
that. That is something that I'm going to actually, when I have a master class, I think I'm going to throw that in there for new parents. I'm coming up with
It
something
freaks them
right
out.
now, a resource that they could use that I was actually provided. So I'm coming up with something similar. I was provided that first week of life, where you're able to identify and track those BMs, because it's something. If you are not a new parent, you won't know how things are supposed to look and gradually change over time, because it does
Yeah, the
change
color
as far as their
changes. Oh my
bathroom
gosh. And they're like,
habits.
yes.
Hmm. So yeah, so
It's
that
very
is something I
exciting.
am looking to add as a resource, to my master class when I, get it going and get it started, which is already there, but I just want to add that part in.
Okay, you
So
guys. So this is the website to
yeah.
Baby Smart Talk email. Oh, that's her
Yeah,
email
that's the
so
email,
that you
my
can
email.
connect with
Yes.
her and get some
So
more information, because not only if you are providing some kind of service for babies, this amazing woman can help you get into this circle, because collaboration is the key. And the more
yes.
resources we have, because she wants to provide resources. So please, before we run out of time, I want you to share about how people can get the resources, because one of the things that she wants to help is the new parents obtain the resources and advanced learning techniques, you guys. So
Yes.
what's the best way for them to discover this?
Okay, so the best way, so if you're kind of questioning about it and you want to learn a little bit more about Baby Smart Talk, we're on the platforms of Instagram, we're at Facebook, but also it's a lot of videos on YouTube, and we cover so many vast topics regarding being a new parent that's free of charge, that's given to you. And I'm real, I'm very honest and pretty blunt, but I'm loving. And so
And
I provide that information to you regarding being a parent and things that you may want to do or try that's different. And I definitely look forward to feedback. So we are on YouTube, we're on Instagram and Facebook, and I started a Facebook group for my masterclass. Those that are in that is interested in that class. And so we're available, and it's Baby Smart Talk on all of those platforms. And if you want to directly get in contact with me, do not hesitate to reach out to me at babysmarttalk@gmail.com. I will get back to you. I will give you any information pertaining to the two paths that we have. One is the advanced learning path for new parents, new moms, especially that are working with their babies and want their babies to learn more. And then the second path is for those parents, whether you're a new parent, whether you're a grandparent, great grandmother, it doesn't matter, but a parent in general who may have an idea about a business that you may want to start, who may want to leave their 9 to 5, or who actually already has a business or is a mompreneur and want to actually scale up. I'm there to help guide you with that as well, with that package that we have for that babies, moms and actually moms and parents with their businesses. So that is available to you as well. So I do look forward to speaking with you all. And I thank you so much, Trey, for this. I have enjoyed myself. Your energy is amazing. You have a heart of gold. So I just pray that everything that you want and everything that you need comes to you in this season, in this year, and that it is abundant and that it just exceeds more than what you can even think of and even want in your life, and that all the desires of your heart that they're granted to you.
I'm
Okay, because
open.
you are a
My hands
beautiful
are.
person.
I'm open to receive.
Yes.
Thank you, Gerri, so much. And girl, I am so excited. I love this conversation. I'm excited to watch the amazing things happen with Baby Smart Talk, because I just have a feeling it's going to keep growing and going. And so I was laughing because Tenji Collins, one of my mentors, he was saying the other day, he goes, "You do realize that some of the people you've interviewed are really going to hit it big, and you're going to be able to say, I got some recordings of them when they were first getting started." So
Yes.
I am excited that you are one of these amazing people, because this information is off the chain, which is why I brought it to the Laugh and Learn Lunch. Gerri, I am so excited for
Oh,
you, for your baby, your daughter who's going to do amazing things, because why her mother has shown her and embraced her how to do it. So I am so excited. And I reciprocate back to you all that
thank
amazingness,
you.
all of
I
the new
receive it all. I
invitations, and
receive it.
yes,
I
the new.
love positive vibes. So I receive it all. We just need that positivity in our
It's
lives.
doing, and
So
the
I
new
thank you
connections
for
and
this opportunity.
collaborations. Because, girl, I see that there's a big event that you're going to be doing about this baby thing, and you have the opportunity, because of course I'm getting my intuitive flashes now, that they're just saying that you would already do it by the end of the year if you schedule something for September and just blow it up, and it almost be like a vending baby thing, and you're going to bring all these people and this amazing network you're going to start building, of other people who are going to get the thing out. So and it's going to turn into something really big. So I'm excited for
Wow, I
this to
received
kick off.
that.
I
I
am
thank you for
excited
that.
because you're going to coordinate and collaborate it. You're not, because you're not a, you want to be a vendor, but you're not.
Yes,
You know what
that
I'm
is so
saying?
true.
I know. I want to always just be the vendor. But
Yes.
something about how you are going to align this community and the name, because something in the name that you name this reoccurring event is just going to attract international people.
Wow,
And
I
more than
received
likely you're going to get the ear of Johnson and Johnson. I keep hearing Johnson and Johnson and other things. So girl, get
and
it going.
that you are right on. You are in
Is that
alignment.
I'm getting
You
clear.
are
I
in
always am.
alignment.
I always am. I'm always on.
Wow.
I read the
Wow.
energy because
I'm
it's in
like
your
literally
field.
almost shaking. Like I got goosebumps literally on my arms
Yeah, because I know
because
you've been wanting to attract the big names. And they're like, how
yes,
can I get to the
especially
big names?
the baby companies.
I
So
know.
you are right in alignment
I
and
know.
with how I think like, oh, I could just be a vendor, go in and do da da da.
And that's why they want me to validate. I know that you want to just
Thank
be a
you.
vendor,
Yes.
but no, you're
Yeah,
gonna
we got to think
you're
bigger in
and
2023.
so again, just keep giving thanks and gratitude for all the people who are gonna coordinate for you, because you don't have time to do all the things. So your only job is to set the date, to come up with the name, and start giving and to create the positions needed, and they'll all come.
You
That's all
almost
you
make
got
me
to
want to
do,
cry. Like, wow,
because
I could see that. I
I
could
know,
see it
just
and I
calendar
believe
it,
it and I receive it.
and they're gonna come. It's like the field of dreams. All you got to do is plant the seed, and you've planted it, and they're all coming, because this is bigger than you. This is
Yes,
bigger than your baby. This
yes.
is your assignment, and you're on assignment from Creator. So it's
Wow,
gonna be abundantly provided for.
wow, ooh, wow.
So I am so excited.
Whew.
That's why I love being with people, because this is what
Yes.
they really need. And
I'm
then
trying to
I'm
keep
going to
myself
show up.
composed.
That's right. And then I'm going to show up for you
Whew.
however you need me to, whether you need
Yeah,
me to help keep promoting it, whatever. Because as people, we're already here. We're already
yes,
here. We just are waiting for people to come up to plant the seed so
yes.
we can
And
show up. We can't show
yeah,
up if you're not going to
yeah,
calendar
that's
it.
true. That is true. So I thank you for speaking all of that into me, and I take it all in and I receive it with open arms because I am, I knew from the start, like when things were coming, even with the logo and everything, I was like, okay, yeah, okay, God, I hear you. Like I'm just doing whatever it is that He's put me to hear, and I have a heart of a servant, you know, to
Mm-hmm.
want to help as many people as I can. And I have for years. I've been doing, community service since I was like 15, maybe 14 years old. And I'll be 41 in less than 2 months. So
Yep.
yeah, I'm really here. I just want to help as many people as possible because like you said, it's some people who don't have that support system, who
Lots.
does not have anyone there
Lots.
telling them what they need to do with the baby,
And didn't have good
or how they
moms.
need to go about their life as far as their next business move. So it's much needed.
Yes, because we're healing broken generations, and we're
Yes.
creating nurturing parents.
Yes, that's so true. So I thank you once again for this opportunity. I have truly and thoroughly enjoyed myself being here.
Thank you. Me too, everyone. It's Trey Urban, and I've been coming at you with some Trey talk. And it has been my freaking honor every Wednesday to come to do this Laugh and Learn Lunch with amazing people that I handpick. You guys, I go out and I find these people, and when I vibe with them, then guess what? Then you get to meet them. So it has been my honor, Gerri. I'm so excited for the
Oh,
amazing
thank
things
you.
to see. Baby
Yeah.
Smart Talk, go out, because how can I forget that name? So I'm going to be watching for it and helping send that creative juices
Thank
energetically
you.
to its kickoff. So
Yes.
much love, you guys. Join
Thank you.
me next Wednesday for Laugh and Learn Lunch. And right now, you guys, I'm hopping back on the Clapper, where Michael Lozier, the man who wrote The Law of Attraction, four-time Oprah guest, is going to be having a radio. They call them radio, the audio rooms over there, with me. And we're going to be talking about releasing negative emotions And we're going to be talking about how it stops you. And that's why those triggers keep coming up, making you feel like you're not worthy, or like you're broken, or like you can't do it. So come and get this on. Let's heal and grow together. Gerri, it's been my very great honor. Blessings to all of my streaming yard. I'm ending it now. Hugs and kisses.
Bye.